Let me ask you a question. Are you an angler or are you a historian? Because if you're spending all your time at a spot just because you caught a big one there 5 years ago, you're not fishing. You're visiting a museum. What if I told you that your most trusted fishing spot, the one you've relied on for years, is actively working against you right now? Today we're talking about the number one reason you go home empty-handed. You're stubbornly fishing a historical hotspot when the fish packed up and moved out weeks or even months ago. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll understand why your can't-miss spot is failing, and I'll give you the tools to break the cycle for good. The reason you're not catching anything has less to do with your lure and more to do with your GPS coordinates. So, I have to ask, how many of you have a spot you fish, no matter what, even when you haven't had a bite there in months? Be honest in the comments below. We all have that spot, you know the one. The sunken rock pile, the deep weed edge, the lay-down tree that always held a monster. It's comfortable, it feels safe, it's loaded with good memories of past battles and full live wells. The problem is, we start to believe the spot itself has some kind of magic power. We think the fish just live there, year-round, waiting for us. But lakes and rivers are dynamic, living ecosystems, not static ponds. The truth is, it's psychologically easier to trust a past success than it is to do the hard work of finding new fish. This leads to what I call the déjà vu fishing trip. You show up at the same time, to the same spot, with the same lure that worked last year, and get zero results. You leave frustrated, blaming the weather, the barometric pressure, or your lure color. But the real problem is much simpler. You showed up to a party that ended a long time ago. Let's start with the most obvious reason fish leave. The seasons change. Think about it. A shallow, north-facing bay that was teeming with pre-spawn bass in May is a warm, stagnant, oxygen-deprived bathtub in August. The fish aren't there. They've moved out to deeper, cooler, more comfortable water. Fishing a spring spot in the middle of summer is like trying to find a polar bear in the desert. It doesn't matter how good your technique is or how fancy your lure is. If the fish have left for seasonal reasons, you are casting into a void. You have to adapt your location to the calendar, not just your memories. Flowing directly from the seasons is water temperature. This is probably the single most important factor in fish location, yet so many of us ignore it. Fish are cold-blooded creatures. Their entire world, their metabolism, their activity level, is dictated by the temperature of the water around them. A change of just a few degrees can push an entire school of fish off a spot and onto another one 100 yards away. That point that was on fire when the water was 65 degrees might be totally barren once the water hits 75. Paying attention to your temperature gauge is just as important as watching your sonar. Here's a simple truth. Predators follow the prey. Bass, walleye, pike. They don't have sentimental attachments to a specific rock or weed bed. They have an attachment to their next meal. The massive schools of shad or shiners that were shallow in the spring will move deeper as the water warms. The perch that were on a sand flat will move to the base of a drop-off. If the buffet moves, the customers will follow. If you pull up to your old hotspot and your graph looks like a ghost town, no bait, no clutter, nothing, it's because the grocery store is closed. The fish have gone somewhere else to eat, and you should too. Now for a tough pill to swallow, fishing pressure. That little secret spot you found, the one you told your two best fishing buddies about, well, they each told their two best buddies. It doesn't take long for a secret spot to become a community hole. Fish, especially larger, older ones, are not stupid. When they see a parade of different lures every single day and hear the constant hum of trolling motors, they will either stop biting or leave the area entirely for quieter, safer water. Your spot might not have changed, but the fishing pressure has educated the residents right out of the neighborhood. So if the fish leave, why do we anglers stay? One of the biggest reasons is a psychological trap called confirmation bias. We tend to remember the one glorious day we caught 30 fish on that spot and conveniently forget the 10 other trips where we got skunked. Our brain holds on to that positive memory as proof that the spot is good, and it dismisses all the evidence to the contrary. You tell yourself, they've got to be here, I crushed them here before. You're fishing a memory, a highlight reel, instead of the reality that's right in front of you. Another reason we stay is the simple, powerful pull of the comfort zone. It's easy. It requires no effort. You don't have to study lake maps. You don't have to burn 5 gallons of gas, idling around looking for new structure. You don't have to risk trying a new area and failing. You just punch in the old waypoint, go there and start casting. It's a comfortable routine. But in fishing, comfort is the enemy of success. The anglers who consistently catch fish are the ones who are willing to be uncomfortable, to explore, and to accept that what worked yesterday might not work today. Then there's the heavy weight of nostalgia and tradition. Maybe it's the spot your dad or grandpa first took you fishing. The memories are powerful, and they're tied to that specific location. We feel a connection to it. We tell ourselves, my dad always caught him here. But what we forget is that the lake has changed in the last 30 years. New weed growth has appeared, old channels have filled with silt, water levels have changed. The spot is not the same as it was in your memories. Honoring tradition is great, but you have to separate the sentimental value of a spot from its actual fish-holding potential today. And finally, we fall victim to the sunk cost fallacy. This is the feeling that you've already invested so much time in a spot that you can't leave now. You think, I've already been here for 3 hours, just one more cast. The next one could be the one. You feel like leaving would be wasting the time you've already put in, but in reality, every extra minute you spend on a dead spot is just more wasted time. The smart move is to cut your losses and go search for active fish. Your time is the most valuable asset you have on the water. Don't spend it on a lost cause. So how do you know for sure when your spot is dead? The first and most obvious sign is a blank fish finder. If you idle over your waypoint from multiple angles and you see nothing, no bait balls, no arches, no marks of any kind, it's a huge red flag. Your electronics are your underwater eyes. They are telling you the truth. If they're screaming, nobody's home, you need to listen. Don't sit there and blind cast for an hour, hoping a fish will magically appear. If the screen is empty, the spot is empty. Next, you have to use your actual eyes and pay attention to environmental clues. Has the water clarity changed dramatically? Maybe a recent rain muddied it up, and the fish slid out to the nearest deep water. Is that thick, green weed bed you loved now, brown and dying? It's no longer producing oxygen and won't hold fish. Has the current changed? Maybe the wind has been blowing from a different direction for 3 days, pushing the bait and the predators to the opposite side of the structure. The lake is constantly giving you clues. You just have to learn to read them. There's also an undeniable feel to a spot that's alive versus one that's dead. When a spot is active, you'll see signs of life. You'll see birds diving on baitfish. You'll see shiners skipping across the surface as they're being chased. You'll see bluegills nibbling at your lure. There's an energy to it. When a spot is dead, it's just quiet. It feels still and lifeless. Your instincts are often right. If you pull up to a spot and it just feels wrong, don't waste your time trying to force a bite. Trust that gut feeling and move on. And watch out for the community hole effect. You pull up to your spot, and there are 4 other boats sitting on it or circling nearby. You watch them for 15 minutes. Nobody is setting the hook. Nobody has a net in their hand. Everyone is just casting and reeling, going through the motions. This is a classic sign that a spot has been fished into oblivion. The party is over, but nobody has left yet. Don't be one of them. Seeing a crowd of unsuccessful anglers is one of the best reasons to leave an area immediately and find your own fish. Okay, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. The first step is to start thinking like a fish, not like a fisherman. Forget your waypoints for a second. Look at the conditions for the day. Is it hot and sunny? Fish are going to look for shade and depth. Is it cold and windy? They might tuck into a calm pocket with slightly warmer water. Are they feeding on crawfish? They'll be on rocky bottoms. Are they chasing perch? They'll be on the weed lines. You have to solve the puzzle of the day, not just revisit the puzzle you solved last year. The next step is to truly embrace your electronics. So many anglers use their expensive sonar units as nothing more than a fancy GPS to navigate back to old holes. That's a huge waste. You should be using your side imaging and down imaging to explore. Spend time idling over new areas, looking for things that aren't on your map chip. A small, isolated rock pile, a hard bottom spot in the middle of a mud flat, a submerged tree that nobody else knows about. Use your graph to find the fish's current address, not their old one. You need to adopt a junk fishing mindset. This means you don't go out on the water with the plan to fish just one spot or one type of structure. A good angler has a plan B, C, and D. Your game plan for the day should sound something like this. First, I'll check the deep points. If that doesn't work, I'll try the inside weed edge. If they're not there, I'll go run some docks. You're not a one-trick pony. You have a versatile attack that allows you to adapt to what the fish are doing on that specific day. Remember this, the 90-10 rule. This is a philosophy that the best pros live by. They spend 90% of their time looking for fish and only 10% of their time actually catching them. The average weekend angler does the exact opposite. We race to our one spot and spend 90% of our time there hoping to catch something. If you want to get better, you have to flip that script. Be prepared to spend most of your day searching. The reward is that when you finally find them, that 10% of your time will be pure action. This new strategy starts before you even launch the boat. Do some pre-trip homework, pull up satellite maps of the lake, and look for interesting-looking areas you've never fished before. Check online fishing forums or recent social media reports, not for specific spots, but for patterns. Are people saying the fish are deep, shallow, in the weeds? Use this intel to form a flexible game plan. Don't just plan to go to your old honey hole. Plan to explore 3 new areas that fit the current conditions. Now let's talk about the first 30 minutes on the water. This is the most critical time of your day. Instead of firing up the big motor and racing across the lake, to Old Faithful, just don't. Put the trolling motor down right near the launch and start idling. Look at your graph. What's the water temp? What's the water clarity? Are you seeing baitfish? Where are they? This initial observation period will give you more valuable information for building a successful pattern than rushing to a spot based on a memory. As you execute your plan, you need to learn to trust your gut, and more importantly, trust your graph. Let's say you idle over a new point, and it looks amazing on the sonar. It's loaded with bait and what look like big fish. You stop and fish it. You give it 20, maybe 30 minutes. You try a few different lures, nothing. What do? You leave, don't get married to it. For whatever reason they aren't biting. Don't sit there for 2 hours trying to force it. Trust the evidence. There are other fish in the lake that will bite. Go find them. Finally, the most powerful tool for breaking this habit is a logbook. It doesn't have to be fancy. A simple notebook will do. Every time you go out, write down the date, the weather conditions, the wind, the water temp, and most importantly, where and how you actually caught fish. After a year, you won't just have memories, you'll have hard data. You'll start to see true patterns emerge. You'll realize that the fish are on south-facing banks every April or on deep humps every August. This data is far more reliable than the fading memory of one good day at one historical spot. So, let's bring this all home. If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that fish are constantly moving, and our biggest mistake as anglers is being static. We get anchored to the past, to old waypoints and memories of glory days, but the fish don't care about that. They care about comfort, safety, and food, and they will move to find it. The real aha moment, the turn that will change your fishing forever, is realizing this. The real secret spot isn't a coordinate on your GPS. It's the ability to find active fish on any given day, under any conditions. That is the skill that separates the person who gets lucky once in a while from the angler who consistently catches fish. It's time to stop being a historian and start being a detective. Thank you so much for watching. If this hit home, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges the old ways of thinking. Now, for the real talk. What do you think? Is it time to delete some old waypoints? Let me know in the comments which historical hotspot you're finally going to break up with. We'll see you on the water.